Well, today is a customer's repair, and it is a Maxcom 30E. And yes, I've covered it before in 2014, but it doesn't harm to do it again in 2020. I've got no idea without looking at the customer's notes, which I won't bother doing until I've done the set, and I'll make sure I've covered all the items. So yes, it's a well-worn set. He's got a power lead with it, which is fantastic. It is a November 1990 version, which is one of the later ones, and it's come with the factory original mic. So I noticed straight away it's got the wrong screws in it, as in they should be black screws, and these are not black screws. Let's hope they're the right thread and that I don't have to spend time in re-tapping the threads. So we'll just whip those off. I'll make sure the soldering iron's on ready to detach the loudspeaker. So those of you who don't know this, these are the pretty normal 1980s Maxcom chassis, such as used in the Midland 2000, 3001, 4001, Maxcom 4E, and the list, and nearly all the Maxcom sets of that era. So they kind of, this was like the last fling, I seem to think, of this variant. That doesn't want to unsolder. I want some more flux on it. Put that to one side and hopefully not hit the microphone. So these have the antenna warning indicator, and let's hope this time I can demonstrate that to you. I've never had to change a capacitor in any Maxcom set. Theoretically, you know, they can get overvolted and damage capacitors, but I've never had to change any. And VCO can be interesting because the setup for the VCO involves doing a test onto this pad, but most of them, the components aren't fitted, and this is no exception. The components aren't fitted, so I don't know what they do at the factory. You put it together and twiddle it till it works. It seems to be the case. So unless we've got a VCO problem, and there's not going to be any history of there being a VCO problem, I mean, that's never been touched. I'll be checking it on channel 1, I'll check it on channel 40. If I'd got a major malfunction on the VCO, then I would actually fit the missing components, which were never factory fitted, so that we could measure that as the manual tells us to. So I've connected it up to test equipment. If you watch these sequentially, we left bench 2 here with the overhead camera and all that rigmarole, and the Marconi test set, and we did the receive on a Hewlett-Packard signal generator and used the Marconi AF meter to do the cyanide on, because it promised to have a cyanide position, and it does indeed have a cyanide position, and they are cheaply available, because I paid 25 quid for one of those and 45 for the other. But we're back onto the normal bench. I tell you what, I might do the receive back there because we're still set up. I might do that, and this time instead of having the camera, because I have to do it with the camcorder there, instead of having on a general view, I'll have it solely on the Marconi AF meter, and that's probably a more fruitful way of doing the video. So we'll start off on this bench and we'll move across to that. So I'll put the power supply on, 13.8 volts. Plug the mic in. The mic leads grinning. Now this is what I've said again. We normally only do trade repairs, so this is from an end user, and of course he sent it in for repair, and that's absolutely fine, no problem at all. I've accepted that, but we wouldn't get this normally because this would have been weeded out at the supplying shop, and so we wouldn't normally do that. So let's hope it works enough for me to make this radio come on. It was last used on channel 19. If you put it on 19 around here, all you get is the burner brigade, and they sit all day illegally using ham radio equipment on CB brigade and all that. so it doesn't work for us. Better plug the extension speaker in through the test instruments, seeing as I've just, of course, unsoldered the radio speaker. So there we are. It's better. Just pop the squelch up while we work on the transmit. So I'll just switch to, I don't know that I set up camera 2. I will just pause the video and check. No, I hadn't. And at least when you get my head in the way of the video, at least my hair's being cut back to the number 7 all over that it's supposed to be after 4 months of getting a longer haired lover not from Liverpool. Right, so I'm going to just key up. We're on channel 20, and hey presto, we get some power. Not a lot of it, it's 2.5 watts. So let's hope we can improve on that for the customer. Try not to have to get the service manual out. Can I find any trimming tools on here? Of course I can't find any trimming tools on here because I took them all next door. No, it's a mystery where they all go. Okay, so I've dug out the Maxcom 4E notes just to make it easier for me because of my memory like a sieve, which I've always had a memory like a sieve. Oh, 104D, well it's not the right one anyway, so that was clever. I've got half the service notes for the Maxcom 4E. So what we will start with doing is to go through the transmit. I think they have you do the receive first. Don't know. That's what we got. I think that's the right one. Yeah, that's the right one. Maxcom 4E. So they're all virtually the same. So we're going to transmit. So it's 107, 108, 109, 110. In fact, we'll zoom in a bit just for a laugh. So 2.5 watts. A little bit more there. Nearly did it the wrong way round. That's broken. Oh dear, here we go. So I'll have to unsolder that, take it out, see if we can put it the other way round. It is a pain. Must have been in to be tweaked down by somebody. Like the walkie-talkie the other day, which was, what was it, 150 milliwatts, and no, it was 15 milliwatts instead of we got 600 and something milliwatts out of it. Tweaked down and all the coils broken. So let's hope that we can access it from the bottom. It's already been turned round. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. We'll have to see whether we can find a scrap set we can pinch a core out of. That's why we, well, not a scrap set, we buy scrap chassis, as you will be aware by now if you watch these regularly. The trouble is, by the time we get the scrap chassis, the best bits have gone, so it's broken both ends, that one, which is really fantastic. Now then, what have we got lurking? Nearly all the scrap sets we have are fake Amstrads. Well, what we have here, this is a scrap AM set, and we don't buy these, but they just sometimes happen to come along, and it may just happen that we have a core with similar properties. Any idea what that's the remains of? People in other countries? Looks awful anyway. Well, that didn't work out. Okay, so I'm going to put that coil back in. I've taken it flush to the top in the hope that we know that it isn't going to break. So now we are at what? 1.1 watt. Of course we are, because I've put it to a random position. So going down. Hopefully we'll go back up again. There we go. And we've gone beyond the 3 watts. So I'll just go back a coil, back another coil. So there we are now at 3.2 watts. So it's not unusual in this job to find that the radio has been tweaked down and then the core broken. Why isn't that doing anything? Do you know what? The trimming tool has got no works in it. So that's just gone in the vertical filing cabinet. I will pause the video and get a different one. So there we have 3.5 watts. And then we have 4.1 watt. I'll just look at the notes as to which one we detune when it goes over power. $115 drops us to, and it is counterclockwise. So 115 counterclockwise to get us down to 4 watts. Well, isn't that better than the 2.5 watts it came in with? And all because somebody tweaked it up and had tweaked it down in doing so and broken the core. Right, well that's that bit done. So let's have a look at the TX meter. TX meter is that one, just there. So we'll just tilt it up, see what it keys up at. Boing! Straight across. So we'll put it between 3 and 4 on the meter. There we are. Okay, so we'll look as if it's on frequency. It's pretty well spot on, to be honest, but I will just put on camera 3 just to show you. So it should be at 27,79125. It's 27,79120. So you could say it was spot on, but just to show you, it is the trimmer capacitor just there. I probably won't get it back as near as it was. One, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5, toggling. So there we go. So let's move on to deviation. So we'll swap the camera back to camera 2. This technique came from Quotageous, who lives 10.5 miles up the road, and that's to use an antenna matcher to unmatch the radio so you can set up the antenna warning indicator. I've not seen that in any service manual, and it's a method I can't fault. And this one has come with a little aerial for when we do field strength. It hasn't come with instructions. This was a top price item, as I thought it was worth it in order to do this demonstration. So, oh, it's got the caps on still as well. So, what we'll now do is to put the test set what we're introducing is a dummy load into the antenna socket, and the test set is a dummy load. I could just as easily do this with the standalone dummy load, but that would be a walk to the next room again. So we've got that, we just need a patch lead to go between the two. That sounds interesting. Tell you what, we'll use this one which somebody's made out of television cable, just to see whether what this is funny. It's made out of 75 ohm TV coax, and I'll be interested to see whether we get a 1-to-1 SWR. It certainly doesn't matter for a demonstration, but it would matter if you were setting up an aerial like this. Okay, so just to test this, we're going to switch it to matcher off, to power, and to forwards, key up, hello, this switch is the wrong way around. It sets on the SWR position and reads on the other position. Anyway, we better get a proper patch lead just in case it's the patch lead that's snagged, because it probably is. I'll put it back in the bin. Okay, with a proper patch lead in place and competing with the radio, which has gone over to the tannoy, which has gone over to radio, let's see what happens now. No, the switch is the wrong way around. How can that be? Perhaps this was another. That's why it was pretty new in the box, because it was a return. Okay, so with it the wrong way round, we should have a perfect SWR. Well, we haven't got a perfect SWR, so I don't understand how that can be either. Anyway, the idea is to switch in a matcher and unmatch the radio to about a 2.5 SWR. So I'm going to set that to a 3 SWR. So now we have a 3-to-1 SWR. And then the idea is to adjust the antenna warning indicator until the light comes on. But I've never known one work anyway. And this is another one, and I'm not fault finding it, so... Well, there's a demonstration of how not to do that. I'm interested about the SWR meter, though, as to why it's reading that way around. Anyone who's seen an antenna warning indicator actually work, let me know. So I'm going to repair the mic lead, the mic plug, which is grinning, as I said. And then we'll go over to the other bench and we'll set up a camcorder there, and this time, instead of it being a general view, it'll be on the Marconi AF power meter with that synad function. So I'm going to leave this bench and pop over to the other room in the next 20 minutes. Right, so now I'll just see if I can... Yeah, that's got the camcorder onto the Marconi meter. So we're going to be doing the standard Maxcom chassis tune-up, so to be 5, 6, 7, 8 detector. And we're listening to 0.3 of a microvolt apart from the tannoy system. So we'll turn the volume up. So you can now see it's reading power output. So we'll switch to cyanide. And if I'll just make sure the RF gain's at full. I think you switch it on these sets. That's right, you do. Yeah. So at the moment, we're looking at, it's set for 15 dBm. And I'll use the radio's RF gain to vary it slightly. Actually, it sounds better like that. It's a bit dirty. So here we go with the first of those adjustments. It's probably going to be spot on. So T5. Well, how wrong could I be? So we'll drop down the attenuation. Okay, we'll clean our RF gain control. Try that one again. Definitely got the peak there. Move on to the next coil. It's a T6. Worse. A fraction better out of that. Move on to T7. Go back to that first one. And then we'll move on to, I think it says T8. I've got the set now to signal generator to 0.2 of a microvolt. I'll just check all those again. So that's a considerable improvement. So now I'm going to put an S9 signal on it. And that's not in the sequence, so I'll just have to manually type that in. So 100 microvolts. And if I can show that the camera, it's actually spot on the S9, so I don't need to adjust that. Had I needed to adjust it, oh, they're not adjustable, are they, on these? There's a look. There's on this set. There's a preset added just down there, so it would be that one down there. But it's absolutely spot on, which is fantastic. So now we're going to set up the squelch. So I'm going to switch the signal generator to a much more low position. It's 0.3 of a microvolt. Yeah, we'll leave it at 0.3 of a microvolt. I mean, that's pretty good. So, switch the signal generator off. Set the threshold on the radio, which is also a bit dirty and wants cleaning. Switch the signal generator back on, and it's come straight in at 0.3 of a microvolt, which is excellent. So now we're going to set the squelch to full, and now move up the signal generator. So it was 0.3 of a microvolt. It's 3 microvolts, 10 microvolts, 31 microvolts, 100 microvolts, 300 microvolts, 1 millivolt, 3 millivolts, 10 millivolts, 31 millivolts, 100 millivolts. And it's actually coming through on our scanner, which is plumbed into the PA system, at 1 volt before the radio has opened up, which is absolutely ridiculous. So it's one of these that never opens up. So I'm now going to set that squelch control at 100 microvolts and see if we can get it to come in. Which it can. So we'll drop that down a step. Now it's far too sensitive. What if someone's put the wrong preset in here? I'll just try and set it again. So I've got really carefully set. Now I'm going to have to pause the camera and we'll see whether it's got the right preset in there. Okay, so going back into record, I found the 10K preset which had been changed at some time to be wrong, and I've put a 2K preset in, which is what it should be. So let's see if we can set it up now. So signal generator is 100 microvolts. I need to adjust that so I can hear it. It would help if I clean these controls as well. So drop that down. I want it to go off at that. It's a bit of a compromise on this one. So now we'll recheck the top end. So now we'll recheck the maximum sensitivity. So I'll take the signal generator off, set threshold, put the signal generator back on. That's 0.3 of a microvolt, it's coming in fine. So just comes in at just over 100 microvolts, which is just over S9, and it drops off at about S5. So I've seen better, but it is working now, and with the squelch how it was, that it was never ever coming in, I just can't imagine anybody, you know, getting a radio in for service, putting the wrong value control in, so the squelch control could be in a position that it would never ever let any type of signal through, however great. But anyway, that's how it's been, and I've no doubt the customer will find this to work so much better now it's set up properly. So the only thing which I haven't done is set the detector. So we'll use the Marconi meter in AF power meter mode. I'll put an S9 signal on the signal generator, which is there. We'll turn the volume up and set sensitivity so we can actually read it. Why am I getting nothing? Okay, we'll put the sensitivity down a bit. So with the detector coil, which is that one in the corner, and it notoriously goes out on the Maxcom chassis, but let's see how this one is. I'm looking at the oscilloscope as well, but it's very noticeable on this Marconi 893C meter. So less. On this occasion, it was absolutely spot on. So there you have it. That is complete. I'm just going to clean those controls behind the scenes, and then we will. I'm going to do a little. I'm not going to do a full. I will. Yeah, I will. We'll do it on the air test with it. We'll do a proper on the air test with it. I think that's the best thing to do. So thank you for watching Maxcom 30E. Last time we did it was 2014.